Continuing again with Surah Mariam, chapter number 19. Yesterday we stopped at ayah number 49, 50. And we mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He was in this beautiful surah, He was talking about Sayyidina Maryam, and He's talking about the Virgin Mary, Zachariah, and after that he mentioned Sayyidina story of Abraham. Abraham, as we all know, is in Islam, he is the father of all the prophets. And Abraham, and he mentioned his story with his father and how that encounter between him and his father, and how he was so polite, and how he was so respectful, and how he was so kind when he was trying to tell his father that they worshiping idols or worshiping statues, worshiping anything other than God is something very, very, very problematic, something which will lead him to destruction in the hereafter. The story proceeded, and as we mentioned yesterday, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He have in ayah number 50, 49, فلما اعتزلهم وما يعبدون من دون الله وهبنا له إسحاق ويعقوب. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning that when He left them, see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one of the very important words He used in this surah so far is the rahmah. The rahmah, which is mercy. See, and even in you recite in the Quran, there is the first chapter in Quran is called the Fatiha, the opening of the book. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the third word is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, the merciful and the most merciful. So God is a God of mercy. God is a God of love. But at the same time, He wants His commands, His orders, His His commandments to be fulfilled, to be obeyed, and this is not for for Him being selfish God. No, it is for Him following Him, worshiping Him, doing the commandments. This is something protect you. This is something will fill the emptiness inside you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the human being, and He knows the weaknesses. He knows what is his attracted to, and what can have an upper hand over him, over his decisions, in terms of temptations, in terms of lust, in terms of all this stuff. So worshiping God, obeying God, is basically a protection from you harming yourself in this life and in the hereafter, because He made this life as a test. So this is not for Him being the selfish God. No, this is from Him being a merciful God, because He created you, and we could create it that we don't have any defects. But unfortunately, we have defects. We have limited abilities. Everything is limited. Your eyesight is limited. Your hearing is limited. Your ability to talk everything is limited. Your brain capacity is limited. You can do certain amount of calculations, in your brain. Other than that, you need a computer or you need a calculator, so on and so forth. So everything is limited. So He knows your defects. He knows your limitations, and that's why He said, in order for you to overcome every limitation or every defect, have worship me. Go worship me. Do all what I ask you to do. You'll be happy. You'll be pleased. You'll have tranquility. You have peace inside. A lot of the problems we face in this life, a lot of the problems we see is when a lot of the mental illnesses people have, a lot of the emotional illnesses and emptiness people have, is because they choose not to follow God. They choose to disobey God. They choose not to do things which God never asked you to do, or things which God asked you not to do. And then at the end of the day, they're suffering. And it's a horrible suffering. So let's jump into the ayat. So we're saying here in ayah 49 that Abraham, he moved. He was in Iraq, and then he have left his family. So what is the compensation? Because Abraham, remember, he was truthful. When we said yesterday, is all these messengers are truthful people. People who are and a truthful person is basically they put the reality as it is. He does not change the reality, you know. So that is put the truth. The truth is putting the reality as it is. And also the being truthful person is you say what's in your heart as it is, you know. So you don't hide, you don't cheat, you be the reality is as it is. So Abraham have moved, he left his family. Then God has compensated him because he was a truthful person. Allah usually give what? More. He gives more than what you left out for him. So if you leave something for the sake of God, any sin, any wrongdoing, any or stand up for the truth, God will compensate you more and more and more and more. And this is what happened to Abraham. Abraham, Allah is mentioning here, number 49, that He have given him Isaac, Ishaq, Yaqub, Jacob, وَكُلًّا جَعَلْنَا نَبِيًّا. And indeed we made each one of them as a prophet. And we explained yesterday that anything they do, it goes back to Abraham. Like basically the rewards, which they will collect. Abraham has a big share. He's the same share. وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُم مِّن رَّحْمَتِنَا وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ عَلِيًّا. Indeed, we have bestowed upon these Abraham's sons, or Abraham's son Isaac and Jacob, we have given them mercy. And the mercy, we as explained, is encompassing. Mercy, which He takes everything. Basically, He takes care of you everything. When God gives you when you have mercy on somebody, when He has mercy on somebody, He take care of that person. And again, as a baby in the mother womb, the baby has not it doesn't have to do anything. And that is exactly the same. When God has mercy upon a human being or one of His slaves, one of His servants, God, that means He takes care of everything. So He says, although that doesn't mean you're gonna be in a hard, sometimes hardships and so on, but even you are in the hardship, He takes care of you. We know the story of Jonah. Even he was in the whale. The whale couldn't swallow him. I mean, the whale was never swallowed him, but he couldn't digest him. He couldn't, kill him. But he's even has mercy when Jonah was inside the whale. Even when Jonah got out, God provided a tree which will provide nutrients for him because he's been malnourished for 3 or 4 days. So this is the mercy of Allah. وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ عَلِيًّا. Indeed, we have made a high mention of them, a very honorable mention of those prophets and those messengers. And also, as we see, so the whole idea is these messengers, because of the truthfulness, God make their mention. You see, all the religions are mentioning them, because their offspring also, like Jesus in Christianity, Jesus in Islam is mentioned, Moses, all these came from the offspring of these two prophets. They're being honorably mentioned more and more and more. And then still their teachings, in Judaism or still in the teachings of Jesus, It's the same teaching of Islam, but they're just a little bit different in the beliefs. But the teachings are much more the same. But there's a lot of differences. There's difference in the beliefs. But the teachings of mercy, of love, of compassion, of peace. Then we'll turn واذكر في الكتاب بموسى. Mention in the book. Then he turned to one of the offsprings. So he talks about Abraham, then his son Isaac, his grandson Jacob. Then he comes to Musa. واذكر في الكتاب, mention in the book Musa or Moses. إنه كان مخلصا وكان رسولا نبيا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said he is one of our faithful. And one of our faithful, and we have made him really close to us. That's what slaves. وَكَانَ رَسُولًا نَبِيًّا. And indeed he was a messenger and a prophet. The story about Musa, everybody knows. The story about Moses. But what we want to say here is Musa still has his own defects. He couldn't speak normally like everybody else. He had a stutter. Number two, he was easy to get angry, lose his temper. He was strong. He was powerful. As we mentioned, he took the tablets, destroyed them, and these characteristics, which in the personality of Moses were not. You could argue that why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose Musa, and with all these defects. Why he couldn't get somebody who's calm, or somebody who's rich, or somebody who has power, or somebody who like Qarun, or the guy who had the was Qarun in he was so rich and so on and so forth. Why? Because we have to understand that the main thing, all these small defects in the character, as far as you're not hurting, as far as you're not transgressing on others people's rights, and you're not hiding the truth, God will choose you. God will choose you to be an obedient. God will choose you to be truthful, and God can choose you for His paradise and His garden. So the main important thing in Musa here on Moses was truthfulness. He was faithful to his Lord. That's why his Lord even he extracted him to himself. When you say that he extracted him to himself to help, to propagate, to spread, to deliver the Israelites, to spread the message of God at that time. It was the Israelites. So very important thing about Musa. So we said the character, most important thing in the character, as God is going to keep mentioning, the word sidq, truthfulness, and that's what God is looking for. That for somebody who He will attract to Him. He wants to attract to Him, to become a worshiper, to become a servant. He's looking for that truthfulness. All the other small traits, all the other small defects, you can overcome them. God will make you overcome them. وَكَانَ رَسُولًا نَبِيًّا. Indeed, he was a messenger and a prophet. وَنَادَيْنَاهُ مِنْ جَانِبِ الطُّورِ الْأَيْمَنِ وَقَرَّبْنَاهُ نَجِيًّا. Indeed, we have called him. Moses is the one who talked to God. He didn't see God, because nobody can see God, because God, in our limited figure right now, limited shape, we cannot see God, but he was able to talk. وَنَادَيْنَاهُ. God have called him مِنْ جَانِبِ الطَّورِ, from the side of the Mount Tor, and draw him near to him. He brought him near to him in terms of place, in terms of also of his connection to God. He was close to God. All these prophets, all these messengers are really close to God. And that's why we're gonna explain when in the next after a few ayats we'll see one ayah bringing that meaning. وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ مِنْ رَحْمَتِنَا أَخَاهُ هَارُونَ نَبِيًّا. Here you go. So here Moses, peace be upon him, he was having small defects here and there. We said speech, we said temper, we said that here and there he killed one guy in Egypt. He was afraid when he go to Egypt they will persecute him, they will do something to him. So when he was coming back to Egypt, so on and so forth. So ask God for Aaron as his brother to be with him. So Allah has said here, وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ مِنْ رَحْمَتِنَا. See, the mercy here encompasses Musa. So from God's mercy, He have given him Aaron, Aaron, أخاه هارون نبيا, as a prophet. You see, Aaron, he was one, next time. So God give him support. Remember, when God, we said that before in the story of Mary. We said that before in the story of Mary. We said that before in the story of Zechariah. Story of every story. God, when He wants something to happen, He makes sure everything. Even the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he wants him, he surrounded him with the package, with the right package to deliver the message. So that is, God will never even forget anybody in a hardship. He knows you. As far as you have the truthfulness, you want God to be worshipped. You want the victory for God. You want the victory for God's commandments. You want the victory for God to win. God will help you from wherever you don't even imagine. واذكر في الكتاب. Then God has finished that line of messengers, that line of prophets, and He brought the Abraham. Yes, Isaac from one side and Ishmael from one side, or Ismail. واذكر في الكتاب إسماعيل إنه كان صادق الوعد وكان رسولا نبيا. Indeed, mentioned in the book Ismail. He was صادق الوعد. Indeed, he was truthful and he was fulfilling of his promise. This is basically like one of the top priority, because life is all about promises. You go in anywhere, it's a promise. You take a merchandise off the shelf, it's a promise to the business owner that you're gonna pay the price for this merchandise at the cash register. You have prayers to do throughout the day, 5 prayers. You promise God. You have a promise with God that you are going to fulfill these prayers. You have rights towards your fellow human beings. No cheat, no steal, no deceiving, so on and so forth. You have that promise to fulfill. You promise them to fulfill it before even you start. So this is what it is. This is one of the. That's Ismail. He was truthful. وَكَانَ رَسُولًا, to his promises. وَكَانَ رَسُولًا نَبِيًّا. And he was a messenger and a prophet. وَكَانَ يَأْمُرُ. And how he built this? God is mentioning here. He was able to build this. Why? Because he was connected to God. وَكَانَ يَأْمُرُ. He was connected to God. By what? By prayers. He was asking help. And this is another thing. You cannot teach, you cannot preach what you don't practice. So that's another thing. He is already fulfilling the salah, the prayers. He was fulfilling the zakah, giving out charity, the sacrifices. Because when you pray, you sacrifice your time for the sake of God. Zakah, you sacrifice the thing which people are all that money is time is money. They sacrifice their time. That's a sacrifice. They sacrifice their money, so it's a sacrifice. So all these sacrifices make you connected, make you able to fulfill your promises. وَكَانَ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِ مرضية. So he was asking. So he didn't stop at himself. No, but he was preaching the prayers, for preaching the charity, to give out charity. Why is that? Because will help him to increase the connection with God. And then to increase for him and for others. وَكَانَ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِ مَرْضِيًّا. And indeed, God was so happy, was so satisfied of his action. واذكر في الكتاب إدريس إنه كان صديقا نبيا. And mention in the book Idris. In the Christian Bible, they call him Idris or Enoch. That's Enoch. In the Bible, his name is Enoch. So mention his name in the book. Now also he was a truthful and he was a prophet. وَرَفَعْنَاهُ مَكَانًا عَلِيًّا. Indeed, we raised him in a higher status. And there's some narration that he was raised to the fourth heaven. That's basically can actually explain this verse. أولئك الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين من ذرية آدم وممن حملنا مع نوح ومن ذرية إبراهيم وإسرائيل ومن هدينا واجتبينا إذا تتلى عليهم آيات الرحمن خروا سجدا وبكيا. Those, God is saying, those who are the people who've been blessed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given them the blessings from the descendants of Noah, the descendants of Abraham, the descendants of Israel, who is Jacob, and from also those offspring, and from also all other people. That's not their job is to preach the message. And there's so other people who's not maybe not descended from there, but their job, God has also selected some of them and selected. وَمِمَّنِ هَدَيْنَا, Allah have guided them. God have guided those. وَاجْتَبَيْنَا, and what chose them. So guide them and chose them. إِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُ الرَّحْمَنِ. All these people who get or are getting close to God, when the ayat, when the signs, when the examples, when they see things are happening, when they read the books, the revelations, they Ayatul Rahman, the merciful, because they see these people from their connection with God, from their experience, they understood who was God. They did so many transactions with him. For example, Jacob, when his son Joseph was taken away from him, but he said one statement, one verse, he said, I know from God what you guys don't know. Why? Because he dealt with God so many times, as if you were dealing with one of the companies. You know that this company, maybe, this company, the product is late. The shipping is late. There is delay in the manufacturing. But you know that you're going to get the product. You're 100% certain. Why? Because you have been dealing with that company for years. You saw their commitment to excellence. And this is God. Yes, sometimes he puts you are in a situation where, like Jacob was, his son was taken away. His son, he doesn't know what, but he knows what God is hiding. He knows that God is going to give him better. He knows that this is even going to be better for his son. That's why he was so strong. So these prophets and the descendants and those has been chosen to be on the right path, when these signs, when they comprehend, when they contemplate all what's around them, the signs of the Rahman, the merciful, they they prostrate to him, increase in worship, they increase in worshiping, and the tears shed out of their eyes. Tears will come down from their eyes because of their heart is already connected to the Lord. It's been their heart has been shaken. Do you know? God have in contrast, after God has given them the examples of the righteous, of the good people. He is the next ayah he said, فَخَلَفَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا. Indeed, he have bring after those from these prophets, some people come out or come from the descendants who forgot about prayers. And what is the meaning of the prayers here? That doesn't mean the connection. Yes, the connection of God, meaning praying, remembering God, having prescribed times for the prayers. That's number one. But also the prayers, what the prayers ask you to do. God has said, "Aqimu salah," means you have to make that prayer will make a fence that you don't fall into the sin. إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي. So the prayers prohibit you from doing the wrong deed, the shameful act, the lying, the deceiving, any bad deed. So they will forget about that. وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ, and they have followed their desires, their lust, the money, the wealth. That doesn't mean that these are bad, but getting them, forgetting the rights of the needy, forgetting the rights of others, getting them with unjust means, being too focused about where's my next pleasure, where's my next, where is my next being able to have a good time, where's my next movie, where's my next, every kind of lust and temptation. Basically, what God says, that just became their focus. فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا. Indeed, they will be facing with the punishment. But in this, of course, in this life, but because being away from God, it has emptiness. Your heart is empty, and this is what you see. A lot of people have the money. A lot of people have he did everything. Women, money, billions, luxuries, mansions, name it, vacations, concerts, everything. But from there, they're not happy. He cannot sleep. You have Michael Jackson, for one example. He was taking injections to sleep. So the going away from God, which is the prayer, gets you closer to God. One of the things is very, very, very problematic because it causes all the diseases, all the emotional, all the psychological diseases you'll have. I can't sleep. I have anxiety. I can't deal with people. I can't. So many things. When you become close to God, when you do your prayers, you remember this is the best medicine for all the diseases. Prayers, prayers, prayers. إلا من تاب وآمن وعمل صالحا فأولئك يدخلون الجنة ولا يظلمون شيئا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, regardless what you have done, regardless what you have been doing, if you come back to me with a clean heart, with a commitment that you won't be doing what you have been doing before, and then you repent and you change your course of action, I will take you back. And even I will give you my biggest gift, my biggest reward, which is the paradise. Because life is going to end. Sooner or later, we're going to die. When we come back, when the judgment day comes, this is what's going to be. He'll bring you back, he'll create you back, recreate you back, and then it's going to be either hellfire or paradise. So he said, this is the real success when you attain the paradise. وَلَا يُظْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا. Indeed, God is saying that if you do good, you get good. If you do bad, you get bad. I am just. God is saying, I'm just. جنات عدن التي وعد الرحمن عباده بالغيب إنه كان وعده مأتيا. Indeed, this is the paradise, which everlasting. You won't be getting out. You don't have to work. You don't have to sleep. You don't have to. Everything is easy. Everything is done for you. It's a great gift. You'll stay there forever. This was the promise of the Lord. وعد الرحمن عباده بالغيب إنه كان وعده مأتيا. This is the promise which the Lord have promised his believers without them seeing it. What does that mean? What it means is God really is creating credibility. When you worship God, when you be on the right track with God in your life, you'll see success after success. You'll see peace after peace. You'll see tranquility after tranquility. You'll see God is protecting you one time after the other. God is taking care of you one time after the other. Basically, have mercy on you. Okay? You'll see that his signs, his prophecies, his wisdoms has been fulfilled. At that time, whatever else he'll say, it'll be true. For example, you have a CEO of a company. He have projects in the future. He say, in 3-4 years, my sales will jump up 50-60%. Okay? You see the track record of that CEO. Yes, he was able to execute in the past. That's why God has given us the history of this prophet. He's telling you. And also he's given us the history of the nation who have been destroyed. He created his credibility already. So anything that's going to come in the future is already done. Because he is perfect. He doesn't do mistakes. And that's what the key. So God is saying that the Jannah, even the believers, have got the belief, although they didn't see it, but they already know that it's going to happen. They already have the 100% certainty that this is it, because they already believed. They already saw the credibility of the CEO of the universe, the creator of the heaven, the creator of the earth, the creator of us, the creator of everything. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا.